I recently heard a talk given by a veteran named Stacy Bear. When he was serving in Iraq, he was assigned to clearing landmines. It's hard to imagine a more stressful assignment. He said he also spent a lot of time doing things like kicking down doors and blowing things up. During his tour, he suffered head injuries from explosions and witnessed truly horrible things. When Stacy returned to the U.S., he kept re-experiencing the horrific events, and he had other symptoms of post-traumatic stress syndrome, PTSD. Nightmares, sleeplessness, feeling on edge, and seeing everything through a negative lens. He became heavily addicted to drinking and drugs, trying to escape from his own head. He was depressed, and he often thought of suicide, but he didn't know what to do. So he needed help, and he knew it. So one day he called a friend, and he just asked him what he should do. His friend was blunt. He said, "Look, man, I'm really tired of hearing about how you want to kill yourself, so why don't you just go ahead and do it, or go rejoin the army, or do something about it." I'm pretty sure that normally this is not the way you want to talk to somebody who's contemplating suicide. But for Stacy, it turned out to be the shot in the arm he needed. He heard himself thinking, okay then, go climb some rocks. He started rock climbing, and that became his do something about it. One day, not long after that, he and his brother were hiking in Utah's Canyonlands National Park, and they started arguing about some trivial thing as they climbed up the rocky trail. And just as they neared the top, they both looked up, and there it was, this 150-foot-high rock formation called the Druid Arch. Well, their jaws dropped open. They completely forgot about their argument, and they just looked at each other, and they started laughing and hugging. And in that moment, a turning point in Stacy's life occurred. He felt that the inner torment that had never left him alone for a minute since he had left Iraq was slowly ebbing away. In that moment, the power of awe he felt had broken through all the pain, and he knew he was on his way to healing. Experiencing awe in the natural world has always been a part of the spiritual experience for practitioners of earth-centered traditions, and spirituality is an integral part of life. In indigenous cultures, a deeply held attitude of reverence and awe for every aspect of the earth, both living and non-living, is woven into one's very consciousness. Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of the 19th century Unitarian transcendentalists, was among the first of our religious ancestors to recognize the power of awe that nature could elicit and to connect it with religious experience. In his essay, Nature, Emerson writes, "In the woods, I feel that nothing can befall me in life, no disgrace, no calamity, which nature cannot repair. Standing on the bare ground, my head bathed by the blithe air and uplifted into infinite space, all egotism vanishes. I become a transparent eyeball. I am nothing. I see all. The currents of the universal being circulate through me. I am part and parcel of God." The American naturalist John Muir understood well the power of nature to inspire awe. In a journal entry marked June 6, 1871, he writes, "We are now in the mountains, and they are in us, kindling enthusiasm, making every nerve quiver, filling every pore and cell of us. Our flesh and blood tabernacle seems transparent as glass to the beauty about us, as if truly an inseparable part of it, thrilling with the air and trees, streams and rocks, in the waves of the sun, a part of all nature, immortal. How glorious a conversion, so complete and wholesome it is. The thing that awesome experiences seem to have in common is that they point to something beyond our limited selves. Often, awe is inspired by a sense of vastness, physical vastness, like a giant rock formation, or when we're standing on the ocean's shore, or gazing up at a starry sky. Sometimes it's the vastness of knowledge and its limitations. Or it can be temporal vastness, perhaps looking upon those rock formations in the Southwest and contemplating the millions of years in evidence before us. We respond with awe to smaller and more ordinary things too, like catching a firefly and watching its light blink on and off, witnessing a stranger giving their lunch to a homeless person, or gazing into the eyes of a newborn baby. These are reminders that we are always invited to enter more fully into our experiences, to find the awe that is often right there in front of us if we simply focus our attention. Experiences of awe transcend our understanding of the world around us. They bring us deeply into the present moment, which is where everything that is sacred and holy dwells. And in these moments of full presence and awe, it's as if we remember that we are the universe, and the universe is in us. Early psychologist William James described awe as an immense elation and freedom that allows the outlines of confining selfhood to melt down. It momentarily dissolves the self and allows the world in its freshness and novelty to seep in. Our egos reinforce the illusion that we are separate from everyone and everything else. Awe allows us to transcend that illusion. And when our egos are not so defended, we also tend to feel more connected to those around us. Social psychologist Paul Piff found that experiences of awe increase feelings and acts of generosity. In a study of college students, when they experienced awe, they cooperated more, shared more resources, and sacrificed more for others. In another study that looked at the connection between awe and generosity, the psychologist Abraham Maslow spent time with a Blackfoot community in Canada, learning about their traditional culture. Awe and reverence for nature were woven into the community consciousness, and giving and sharing wealth was another foundational value. He learned that among the Blackfoot, wealth was not important, but rather giving it away was what brought privilege and security. Especially in our hyper-individualistic American culture, experiences of awe contribute to altruism because they alter our sense of ourselves, replacing it with one that is smaller, humbler, and part of something larger. Even a brief time of being among beautiful tall trees, sometimes called forest bathing, leads people to feel less self-centered and entitled. We become more attuned to our common humanity with a greater concern for others. In those moments, we are able to remember that we are all people, and all people are us. The power of awe extends into other areas of our lives. It helps people to be more creative and to find novel solutions to problems. Albert Einstein believed that feelings of awe are the source of all true art and science. And awe can lift depression and heal our wounds. When Stacey Bear took in the sight of the monumental Druid Arch that day, he recognized the power of awe to heal his trauma. And with that insight, he also went on to recognize the power of awe to heal others. And that gave him the direction in his life he had been seeking. He began by reaching out to other veterans, and he eventually became the director of Sierra Club's Outdoors, which sponsors group trips. Stacy's mission is to get veterans and inner-city youth out into nature. Many of them have had very little experience of the natural world. Simply staring up into a dark sky full of stars for the very first time is often an incredibly awesome experience for them. Stacy has found that those who experience these trips into the wilderness gain an improved sense of well-being, social functioning, and outlook on life. Here is a headline, or it should be a headline. Americans are awe-deprived. It's true. It really is. As a culture, we're spending more and more time indoors, working and commuting, less time outdoors and with other people. According to one study, most of us have experiences of awe less than 3 times a week. Is anyone familiar with Mark Nepo? He has a daily meditation book called the Book of Awakening. And this morning he wrote, "We are so achievement-oriented that we often surge right by the true value of relating to what's before us because we think that accomplishing things will complete us when it is experiencing life that will." The fact is, for our mental and spiritual well-being, we need awe every day. And not only for ourselves, we need it, and so do the people around us need it. So let's think about putting down our devices, taking a break from work, taking a pause, and finding something awesome. There are sources of awe and wonder everywhere, if we only look for them. I've struggled with seasonal depression in the past. Anybody else ever? Yeah. I don't know, I think maybe you get a little more sun here in Delaware, but Pennsylvania is pretty cloudy in the winter. So one winter day a few years ago, I was casting around for something to lift my spirits. I know that nature often has the power to do that, so I went on the computer looking for images of nature. I know. Yeah, it was cold and it was dreary, it was winter, and I guess I was feeling lazy. But I discovered the Cloud Appreciation Society, and they began emailing me a really, really cool photo of a cloud every single morning. And the minutes I spent contemplating those wonders of nature helped me get through those dark and dreary days. Even better, though, is to have daily encounters with actual nature. I'm fortunate living in the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania because we have Blue Mountain to the north, South Mountain to the south, and we have the Lehigh River running through it. So I always have opportunities for a little awe. And I take a few minutes to look out my second-story window every morning, and I can see the Blue Mountain, I can see the South Mountain, and occasionally I'm rewarded with something spectacular. One winter day a few years ago, I looked out at South Mountain, and it was covered with snow. The sun was shining on it, and it was just glowing like a jeweled blanket. These regular mini doses of awe can make a huge difference. If we're able, we can make a simple practice of taking short daily walks around our neighborhood, seeking out awe, what someone calls awe walks. Rachel Carson, in her book, The Sense of Wonder, suggests that one way to inspire a sense of awe and wonder on these walks is to ask ourselves these 2 questions. What if I had never seen this before? And what if I knew I would then? These doses of awe and wonder can be like medicine for our mental health. Stacy Bear envisions a day when we'll be prescribed experiences of awe to treat trauma. He says insurance companies would pay for us to go river rafting or to buy hiking boots or to buy season passes to the state and national parks. He imagines that when our children grow up, they'll go to a park and say, "This is our national health care system." He is so passionate about nature's awesomeness and its ability to heal. And why wouldn't he be? You know, it literally saved his life, and he's witnessed its ability to heal the psychic wounds of countless others as well. Whether it's a big awe triggered by a national park experience, or a little awe that comes from, say, watching an ant carry a little splinter of wood. A sense of spiritual wholeness and resilience can come from having these experiences on a regular basis. Like Stacy Bear, I gravitate toward nature, but there are lots of ways to bring awe into our lives. And not just into our own lives. As Stacy Bear has done, we too can help bring it into the lives of others who may really need its healing power. I think about my dad, who was a hiker, and he ended up in an assisted living place. And one day, I took him out on a beautiful fall day, at the peak of color, the brilliant blue sky. And this conservancy property had a trail wheelchair. So I got to push him on the trail around this loop, and it just brought so much awe into his life. I'll never forget that day. So we never know. Let's reflect for a moment. What are some of your memories of awesome moments? Big ones or little ones? How can you experience more of those moments? And how can you share them with others? It's one of those things. Once we begin looking, this simple shift takes us deeper into life, and we can find inspiration for awe just about anywhere. Remember the dance language that life is, urges Joy Harjo. The world around us is speaking to us, and we are invited to be part of its dance. All of it is a miracle. So may the power of awe lift our spirits, heal our pain, and allow us to live with open hearts. May it be so.